Okay. 다리 고르게 토지. 그네 찍기 줄게요.
나리 인지게.
인지게.
나리.
알았어. 다 다리 양도 최소 강강하라서 늘은 좀 전에 상제지 송백이 최대 되는 거라서 냠수 렘백이 최도 먼저 탑자 신경 쓰기 시에 향수 예수 이랑에 돈을 셈바치 근데 답고 가봐서 못해라 나라 신도 가와 충분히 소라.
First, we'll do some prayers to Buddha Shakyamuni, and then to Manjushri. Then, you do some mandala offering. I'm very happy to find us here today and be reunited with us here, all of us together, so that together we can deepen our understanding of the Buddha's teaching. We are very lucky to be able to receive and study the Buddha's teachings. I'm especially happy that you're interested in the teachings of the Buddha, and that I've been able to study a little bit Buddha's teaching, and that I can share my understanding with you.
Pour l'enseignement du Bouddha et que moi-même, qui ai pu étudier un peu déjà l'enseignement de Bouddha, puisse vous présenter ici son enseignement.
Tane dichidu kansa nganju re ta tanda rimbuchi pyoge yang tabar chingi yob songzang nye pyoge tohne she ne rimbuchi paris tol song ane pane pema lawai tegi inge tol jur ne nye pyoge tol she du ta nganju pyoge kalchar dan drewe tohne she tang mayin par 네 정말 봐 나라도 깨져 시시나 희치는 고대부지 시시하나 안에 간줄레 로션 바게 되네 마음백이 괜찮 통계 티처 단다 벽에 나와보 단다 디텐지 왕보고서로 콘서트 창게야 디네 빼다사나 미드리셔살라에 펜토 요아레 안 등산 이제 유튜브 나라 렌로 요아레 제상 콘서 강가리야 디 얘기드네 배가 많이 남라 회지 나셔는 예배게 용다 용들식 그래서 배가 많이 받소리 셰디 안저 냠용 소사바 임바 송상 디 셰당디 간대신이 셰공도 콘솔라이 펜토도 인디인데 그게 도ring에 셰나이 가보도
Rinpoche va enseigner.
I will teach in Tibetan, and the teaching will be translated. Because my translator speaks Tibetan very, very well, and he can translate into French quite well, and myself and my neighbor Pamela White will be translating into English for the Anglophones and Spanish. So, all of the conditions have been assembled today so that I can express myself in Tibetan. I would also like to say that I will be teaching outside of the traditional type of format of the teaching. I'll be teaching outside of the text. I'll be adding to the text so that those who understand Tibetan will be able to improve their understanding of the spoken language. And maybe it will encourage you to study Tibetan when Tibetan teachers such as Khenpo Tenzin, who is here, or others who come here, teach Tibetan, and perhaps you will be inspired to learn Tibetan. In any case, the entire teaching will be available on CDs or DVDs. So today, I would rather speak Tibetan. Thank you.
Avoir un exemple à suivre de la manière d'enseigner hors du format traditionnel, etc., tel que ici présent les futurs enseignants plus jeunes comme Tenzin Wangpo ou d'autres qui pourront suivre cet enseignement par l'enregistrement qui est fait de cet enseignement qui sera disponible par exemple en ligne. Et donc, c'est pour la raison pour laquelle je m'exprimerai aujourd'hui en tibétain.
택바 첨불라야 첨바니 월자바 지구요리 아니 양 상하게 냠네 집에 가올라 양한테 고에 되요 아래 대송서 탐주에 든저에게 냠네 가르치고 쉬우지래 되요 아래.
This weekend, the subject is the 4 applications of mindfulness, also known as the 4 foundations of mindfulness. The 4 applications of mindfulness are used to cultivate our ability to be mindful, which is a very important aspect, and every vehicle of the Buddhist teachings integrates these teachings. Whether we are practicing Shravakayana or Theravada, we also find this teaching as a crucial point in the Mahayana teachings, the Great Vehicle, and also in the Vajrayana, the Diamond Way. So every Buddhist practitioner can come into contact with these important teachings.
Crucial dans la voie du grand véhicule, ou le Mahayana, la voie des Bodhisattvas. Mais il a également toute son importance dans l'enseignement du Vajrayana. Donc c'est un enseignement en ce sens qui est important pour tous les pratiquants. Dans le cadre de l'enseignement
within the framework of Vajrayana, we talk about the application of mindfulness to the body, or the contemplation of the body, so that the practitioner is not as attached to the body as being something which is particularly important. It is in order for us to look more closely at the importance that we give to the body. The Vajrayana has a different concept of the body than the other vehicles, but it is still very important for us to develop this practice.
Le regard porté sur le corps est tout à fait différent. Il y a une toute autre conception du corps dans l'enseignement du Vajrayana.
unte inji minji changma tanda teacher seamindu student seamindu ganga ke rang nyamsulembi chöliya peju chero nangmado jimiliya shia korang to chensu nyena ti yabu mare jimil pa shia chura mil tanda ngaran zunjina university nala lojong chidu ngarang kariyak tanda lojong chikwa for your surviving. Career tanda. Ta tambe chue nyams lendu chanzo public chen number so de ani dan gelhonso kansa chabada ani yinayanda mija yinayanda kashi gegen chi yore gegen chingen yinayanda khare yina changmake rang ge binima rijindu nyamleng nang pa zuya chedu lobjong nangor madu kasakalin rochi ni shia korang tandala gunong sam tangchin di lobjong de majiro.
Quoi qu'il en soit, que vous soyez vous-même.
I ask all of you practitioners, whether students, monastics, householders, or teachers, to listen to this teaching very carefully so that you can put it into practice and really be able to apply it. What you will hear here is not meant to be memorized, like one memorizes teachings at a university, and then you take an exam to see if you've understood it intellectually. It is not a subject to be studied intellectually in order to share it with others, nor to teach it. It is really important to put it into practice. Usually, when you study at a university, it is for your own career, so that you'll be able to use it in your profession. This is not what we are listening to, nor is it what this teaching is for. It is to develop certain qualities and put the teaching into practice. So I urge you to listen to these teachings so that you can put them into practice, not just to see how well you understand them intellectually.
À l'université ou dans un autre cadre, c'est généralement pour votre carrière, pour acquérir des savoirs dans le but de trouver un métier, etc. Ce n'est pas le cas ici. Ici, c'est vraiment afin de développer ces qualités et donc, il est important que vous preniez ces enseignements afin de les mettre en pratique vous-même et non pas simplement comme une connaissance que vous allez utiliser à d'autres fins.
서로와 템바냐 와죠. 심 템바냐 와죠. 슈 템바냐 와죠. was this. 템바냐 와죠 was나 비스거를 배나 친이라 양타 받대네. 근데 친이라 양타 버지 때네. 디네수 뭐마 덴바카리 니바데 아니 마지 버치네디 산자와서 해지 된다래요.
맞아.
First, let's look at what these four applications of mindfulness are. They are being mindful in the first place of the body, then of the sensations, thirdly of the mind, and finally of phenomena. And what do we mean by being mindful or applying mindfulness? The Tibetan term Drenpa Nyewa Shakpa means that we observe, contemplate the precise characteristics of the body, of sensations, of mind, and of phenomena. That is to say, to recognize their true nature, their ultimate nature, and to be able to keep this in mind so that there is a true, deep understanding, experience of what the body, mind, sensation, and phenomena are.
De maintenir la souvenance de ce que sont réellement le corps, les sensations, l'esprit et les phénomènes.
아니 다텔라 아니 디체도 두천바니 어르자바스 다 두스만 버발 마란소 류라 정원은 봐 아니 대원은 봐 빡버는 봐 다 유버는 봐 대중간서 코알라 출백이 자와 차대겨 이 가르치는 출백이 자와 차기 요르스 민발라 임버다대겨 미장와라 자원진 아니 동하라 대원진 메타발라 딱버는진 매발라 유바 동발라 다든진 봐 온티레시데 아니 미스틱 차대겨 디 미스틱 강가 파판 사나 디 미스틱 임버 시니 디 도쇼 니수문에디 시나 아니 추바 상백 자와데 니 이라부터 추비 코알 간주 출데 세야진 원 코알 다 출세야진 원 니기 출비 자와디 니 집비 고라부터 베식다부터 니 추비
Alors, concernant
Let's look at the application of mindfulness to the body. Our general idea is that the body is somehow pure, it's a source of pleasure, that it is somehow permanent, and that it is the self, or related to the self. We identify with it. The idea that we have about what our body is does not correspond with the reality of our body. We've been grasping the body as being something which it is not. We take the body to be pure, permanent, to be a base for happiness, to be the self, where in fact it is impossible for the body to be these things because they do not correspond with its fundamental characteristics. So we use this practice to look at the real characteristics of what the body is. We look at it very carefully, and by using the practice, we see that the body is not pure, that it is actually the basis for suffering and not pleasure. It is ephemeral, not permanent. It is not a self. We can't identify with it because there is nothing solid to identify with. There's no ultimate existence within the body. By observing the true characteristics of the body, looking at its true nature, it is possible for us to break apart and pierce through our misunderstanding about what the body is, and thereby break the grasping that keeps us turning in samsara, since we will have recognized the illusory nature of the object, that we have been grasping in terms of characteristics that it does not actually have. The application of mindfulness to the body can actually break through this cycle of being attached to existence through our body.
Qui est la fondation de l'existence conditionnée du samsara. Et donc, en d'autres termes, c'est une illusion que nous cultivons en ayant ces idées de pureté, permanence, plaisir, soit par rapport au corps, qu'il sera que notre... comment dirais-je, ces illusions-là pourront être éliminées grâce au placement de l'attention sur le corps en regardant les caractéristiques véritables du corps.
sem rang sem tanda namdo bet chogo khora ngol ninsen pame do chogo wang do son de bati pa shiwe ke tab de lab ne ti nyam su le ne gomba gomdu tin rub yong be kabla kharin rub yorsana namdo chogo da sem chingwa nika bet pa sang bet ma sang sana man ja ne me ba chene tin sem tempo ne tu be ki ne ba tin rub cha so na di neba di to ne ane chi zung yul dang nang zimbe sim nika tongba yimbar shebe ke shirab di dugu yaris di dugu ne di shirab di ane rangyu di yube nyomomba dang zing la soba tamje gang mik da yung du tene nyomong korang yine madu pati unsum de nyone sanje yoris ti sonza chamba nyawar jeba yina ti to ro
Alors les afflictions dans le il y a l'instance dans le chapitre
The 8th chapter of the Bodhicharya Avatar by Shantideva, The Way of the Bodhisattva, talks of the fifth paramita, the meditative absorption. It is said that the afflictions must be eliminated through wisdom, discernment that is acquired on the basis of perfect calm abiding. The term for this is shamatha, or shine in Tibetan. This is the practice that leads us to a stability, the quietude of mind. The incessant agitation of the mind in the form of excitement or dullness has been pacified, and through this the mind becomes quite stable. The stability leads to greater wisdom or understanding. Then, by observing emptiness, there is the awareness that the perceiver, the objects perceived, and the act of perceiving do not exist independently in any sort of true manner. They are all interdependent. We see this clearly through our discernment, which then completely eliminates the afflictions that keep us stuck in samsara, such as bewilderment, ignorance, desire, attachment. The result is then awakening. Awakening puts an end to our being stuck in a cyclic existence. So these four applications of mindfulness belong to the practices which allow us to develop our wisdom and discernment, as Shantideva describes them.
Une capacité de discernement plus important. Et ensuite, en observant la vacuité, c'est-à-dire que aussi bien la conscience qui perçoit que donc le sujet percevant, si vous voulez, et les objets perçus, tous deux sont interdépendants, n'ont ni l'un ni l'autre de substance autonome, et ni l'un ni l'autre n'existe véritablement. En voyant la vacuité de ces deux, par ce discernement, alors les afflictions qui nous maintiennent au sein de l'existence conditionnée, telles que l'égarement et le désir, attachement, l'aversion, etc., sont totalement dissipés, éliminés, et l'on atteint ainsi l'éveil, l'on s'affranchit de l'existence conditionnée. Donc les quatre placements de l'attention sont une pratique qui se situe dans ce cadre tel que cela est expliqué par Shantideva.
당보 신의 루야라 그 개체주도 가르쳤으나 남도 초교에 대한 맛이 또 제고요 마도 남도 초교 맛이나 곰 가리나 자는 루야 요 말이 된다 임바송자 남도 초교 맛이고요래 디 시월 집에 탑이 초도 줄바티 안에 뭔지 산제 기전 산제 송바 지진도 뭔지 드네 다좀보다 장주 선바다 탐지의 냠수 용월라 Yamnyong Nan, Tangbo recommendation number 1, the Ula Tene Nuat, Drown, Jero Jobata, that the big top subject regular. Kanda exercise, mentally exercised. So Tabia should dig non to shit we
are. Et donc,
in order to be able to do any sort of practice, it is important to calm and settle our mind. Usually, our practice begins with calm abiding. There are many different methods and ways to put this into practice. The goal is to calm the agitation of the mind. The agitation or dullness of the mind consists of anything that keeps the mind from being sharp, clear, and calm. There are quite a lot of different instructions that have been given by masters of the past. Whether they are arhats or bodhisattvas on the path, they all stressed the importance of the method based on contemplating the cycles of the breath, following the breath, or settling the mind on the breath. All of these are really fundamental instructions for practice that are present in all the types of Buddhism. Settling the mind on the breathing cycles leads us to the result of shamatha, which is the stability that we are looking for.
Aussi bien les arhats que les bodhisattvas ont souligné l'importance de la méthode basée sur la contemplation des cycles des respirations, c'est-à-dire les contemplations basées sur l'observation de la respiration. C'est-à-dire compter les cycles de respiration, suivre le cycle de respiration, placer l'esprit sur la respiration, etc. Donc ce sont là des exercices pour l'esprit et qui permettent, sur cette méthode, donc d'observer la respiration, d'amener l'esprit à l'état de shamatha ou de quiétude stable.
Objective, objective chin pena dangwa segwan. Ta dangwa se du u chirin jungwa da nang mu ba ni ga gang la rikpa te pe kap la yin na yang ta te la u de khane yung du khawan ro du ndam la sam tang wa min duan biologically to na sam tang wa min du pena lang na la man ju so tene ya thunju tenso biological sam ma tam ba che u khurang thole ya rikpa te ne chirin jungwa kapla ti thola samba te to che nang du mo be kapla ti thola samba te ya thang jang ko ma do samba de khande chindu u de khane u gong yo ma re ti gong yo ma re ti gan rikpa te ba de gong yo ma do u gong yo ma ti mang bo ko no te du da ye tanda ngaran su tinde 망보 나라다 냠도 깨체 셰그르반
no
tinga nyamnyung chungsons
no so
chungso ganga mis understand karadus u gongur singi khogdus tinde mare u kan rikpa te ya de jangu yo ma u gom kharcha ngara yue bare loan de yue bare ku gongwe kemen ba te sunsa te gongwe kan ti kan rikpa te ya gong.
Alors, parmi les techniques,
different techniques are used for this practice, which aims at bringing the mind to a state of stability through meditation on the breath. Counting the breath cycles is one of those. Counting the breath does not mean analyzing the breath, wondering what the breath is like, or where the air comes from, where it is going. It's not necessary to think about the biological functions of the body as we breathe. We don't have to think about the lungs or the nostrils. It's just a question of observing a cycle of breathing. This is where we are able to settle our attention and settle our mind. Some people teach this in the wrong manner, and certain others meditate and believe that one has to meditate the breathing. It is not about meditating breathing, but about settling the mind and fostering vigilance, not cultivating breath. We are settling the mind on the breath, and through that, we're cultivating vigilance and attention. We don't need to cultivate breath. It happens naturally. We breathe because we have lungs. There's nothing that we need to do. What we're looking to do here is to cultivate certain qualities of the mind, and we are using the breath in order to develop this. It is an observation point, so that we can settle the attention on this observation point. This is how we develop the qualities of concentration in our mind, so that we're able to not be distracted.
La concentration, l'attention, la vigilance. Alors, il n'est pas nécessaire de cultiver la respiration. C'est quelque chose qui se fait naturellement. On a des poumons, on respire. Pourquoi cultiver la respiration? Ça n'a aucune utilité. Ce qu'on cherche à faire, c'est de cultiver la qualité de l'esprit. Donc, le cycle des respirations sont quelque chose c'est un point juste d'observation pour placer l'attention sur quelque chose, mais ce qu'on cherche à cultiver, c'est la qualité de concentration de l'esprit, absence de distraction.
당보 장가 잡아이나 장가 니시 짜지고 파트 잡네 되는 반삼샤 한테 레스트체 되네 양장 고츠 되네 스네 망보체 다들 니마 찍을 망보 검샤기는데 거기로 와 되는 루비 디마도 틱스 검체는 루야요 말에 인지 망보 공부야 남들 초교 대랑 안수 세럽 토면에 다다 봐도 검대바 손상 되네 레라보 초징이 지나 레라보 요마 심도해야 돼. 요 초징이 지나 탑장보단 최바이나 탑이 야고도 냠술는 토바이는 레라보 뚫두고요. 된다 인자탄데 탑이 야고래. 그런지 다좀바 남지게 하나 간사 예버리 팀바 손자 탑이 야고래. 된다 제두 답변은 장이 휴자지 과도 장네 데라 퀄리티 유다도 마소나 가르창고 요르세나 유다티 랑게 섬섬 직바티 룽 토라 미치진도 야고테 두 때긴 두다 민도 소소기 시진유바단 찍다 시진유바단 찍 이바텔라 남도 예 파르달라 초소나 초와데 람상 뇌시니 디제스 만도와 양미 미비게 토르츠 야 토바니 어텐다 치리 장고요 디치는데 퀄리티 상대 유다 야고 차요
Donc cette technique
This meditation techniques, which allows us to cultivate stability of mind and quietude based on the breath, has several different aspects, one of which is the breathing cycles. We count the cycles up to a certain number, and we try to not let ourselves become distracted from our attention. We breathe out, breathe in. 1. Breathe out, breathe in. 2, etc., or the opposite. What we try to do is stay focused during 21 cycles without allowing ourselves to be distracted. Then we take a little break, and we begin again. And like any other kind of exercise, we need to train. And the more we train, the easier it is for us to make progress. If we just sit and meditate from time to time, we won't be able to make any progress, certainly not very quickly. On the other hand, if you are a regular practitioner and you practice a lot, then your practice will be quite quick. From beginningless time, our mind has been agitated. We have been agitated and dull, and we have a quite cloudy or untamed mind. When we do a meditation of this sort, we could make it a question of quantity, but it's not a question of being concentrated during long periods. In the first place, it is to develop a quality of meditation. What do we mean by quality? It means that we are able to settle the mind and concentrate with vigilance, with mindfulness. We are mindful and vigilant. That is, we are aware of what is going on in the mind. We are aware of what is going on within the body. And as soon as we're distracted, we are aware of this. And instead of getting carried away with the distraction, we are able to bring the mind back to its meditation support and to settle the mind again, here, on the breath. Our goal is to develop these qualities of mindfulness and vigilance, which allows different qualities to develop.
Avant toute chose, il faut arriver à une qualité de concentration. Donc cette qualité, ça veut dire ici que l'on arrive à se concentrer d'abord avec vigilance et souvenance, c'est-à-dire que l'on n'est pas distrait, l'on est concentré, et tout en étant concentré, l'on est conscient de l'état de notre esprit et de notre corps. Et dès que l'on est distrait, dès que une distraction s'élève, que l'on s'en rende compte immédiatement et que l'on arrive à ne pas se laisser emporter par cette distraction, mais au contraire, de revenir sur notre objet de concentration, l'objet sur lequel on se concentre. Et donc si notre concentration a ces deux aspects, c'est-à-dire de souvenance et de vigilance, alors c'est une concentration de qualité.
On a 대답이 juda 상배 고네 아니 드레스는 정외 qabla 다 림바진도 콤네 페나 차르갸 탐바 데치 카르 장토바 데치 라 차갸 탐바 장비 qabla 퀄리티 단당에 공도 셰바 그래서 차상 창와다 디 조스나 다 objective isn't it 야탐바 다 차지 장디 오케이 야보차 찍으나 야본도 말에 찍으나 야보지 차니바 숨바 지방아바 림바진도 야루야루야루르 대도인도 소소라 가와지에 용그레 야보레도 삼베 콤시 콤베 가와지에 용그레 대나 체네 자네 니자네 숨자데 동자바도 랑투로르 대 랑투 소나 나는 셈데 시월 내바티 오늘 야고차윤도 아니 시외게 냠 근데 대화다 기바텐 소라 용그레 랑쇼게 대요나 아니 되게 셈슈지에요 기토그레 되게 satisfaction 전부 용그레 소나
Donc
we are going to train in applying these methods, and we can begin by trying to stay mindful during 21 breath cycles. That could be our beginning goal. Then, as we continue to train, it will become easier to remain focused for longer and longer periods. Because the qualities that we've been talking about are present when there is the presence of mind, the vigilance, the clarity, and stability. Just naturally, it will become easier for us to go further. Maybe we'll be able to stay concentrated or focused for 100 cycles, or 200 cycles, 300, etc. Maybe we could go all the way to 1,000 or even several thousands without getting distracted. The mind will be stable and settled without being pulled away by distraction. There's not only the possibility to remain focused that improves and grows, but also the benefit of the quietude of mind will become more and more clear to us. Naturally, as the mind settles, more and more of the qualities reveal themselves, and there is a great sense of well-being that accompanies this, both psychological and physical. So all this gives us great impetus to continue practicing on a solid basis. We're very inspired, and there is a good deal of happiness and joy because we see the benefit of the practice.
L'on éprouvera un très grand bien-être, bien-être à la fois psychique et physique. Et de ce fait-là, l'on éprouvera plus de courage, on verra que sa pratique devient concret. L'on aura également de la joie de savoir que l'on réussit ainsi dans sa pratique.
Gers ran social result the process rawatin ramena mambu yung sigre da chishap to chana thambo ji namdo hajang mambu chogu chenda namjun da mandawe chogu cherun ruwe nyam rawatin yongre sungdwa
naso
tinde yongre dina tinda chuma ina ti dugo mariste comments good signs re kala sanata namdo namju ngochegu ngosintu yo mare 다 남도 림바진도 티시네 비게 슈데 야울레 윤드tin 남도 가르쳐 참마 ngo시도 차발라 때네 tin 소와라 tin 남주도 만다베 초그 치르 송베게 데 냠 용기 레디나 티 마레스 때가 good result is 아니 티네 림바진도 티마 마캄 찬마 시와 찬에 데 시외게 냠 첨부 용하다 tene teyamba ting sabtron an hajang jasebu chayaro atende chowa mara yungyori ta ti chowa de semla chowa de mara yungdu ti chongdang la ya tin tela chayin ma che padang tela ji ngagyal ma che pala so da tene lobjung mongbu cheyo tezu ganga lobjung na jong sulji lobjung choji ni lobjung cho de shebar chine the gyön kari but the shene the implementation the remedy the implement according the situation da kap the dyngi to an bena the implement check no the togu issue chombo chana how to handle it kind of check yang chingwa shu chombo tipe na ma chuna how to handle it 다 텐조 롭중 초지요.
그래서 좀 있을지.
좀다 담보검 개비 있었다 당에 공도 씹어 나시지. 다 교육 초도 남도 초고 이슈 체로 지나 안에 릴렉스 체는 마. 다 중화다 티바 슈 첨부 차나 양 셈라 슈된. 다 중화다 티바도 만초와도 트레이딩 도 용구도 나랑 섬단. 소고도 만초와도 리바 dream 잡아야 되는 용구도. The trading chode tene tandangaran su ore ndiji yungdo kansa namdo chogo ta tangbo mangchak do mo ta mo yen ti su sha tene shujo
donc
all sorts of different experiences that can arise as a result of meditation or the consequences of training in meditation. For example, in the beginning, we may have the feeling that our mind is even more agitated than it was before. We feel like we're more distracted than we were. All sorts of thoughts arise, and we feel a lot more agitated and unsettled, and the mind is quite excitable or even more dull than usual. This is not necessarily a bad thing. We are so used to agitation in the mind that we don't even notice it. We don't see just how agitated our mind is. When we actually take the time to look at the mind and to observe what is going on within the mind without distraction, that is when we see how unsettled we are. Acknowledging agitation is actually a positive benefit of meditation and not a bad result at all. It is more of a sign that we are really beginning to apply ourselves to meditation. After, we apply remedies to agitation and dullness. so that the mind can actually settle into the quietude. As we begin to taste the calm, the quietude becomes more and more vast, more profound, and all sorts of different experiences will be available to us. When we are learning to meditate, we need to learn different things and aspects. For example, we learn that we should not be attached to whatever experiences are happening within the mind stream. We learn complete detachment to any kind of hope and fear about meditation. We also learn to recognize the obstacles to meditation, such as agitation, dullness, sleepiness, and the different remedies that can be applied when we recognize what is going on in the mind stream through our meditation. As we learn what the different remedies are, we also need discipline to apply them as we meditate. How exactly do we put the remedies into practice? And actually, how do we acquire the willingness to put them into practice? It is important to be aware of how our own physical habits impact our meditation, how we eat, how we sleep, etc. Agitation often comes from the mind being too tense. There's a tension in the mind stream. It's too tight.
Alors il y a à l'égard de tout cela, évidemment, de nombreuses choses qu'il nous faut apprendre. Donc tout d'abord, par exemple, quelles que soient les expériences qui s'élèvent, n'avoir aucun attachement, saisie, c'est-à-dire considéré comme c'est quelque chose de grand, important, etc. Et est lié à ces différents obstacles à la méditation, tels que la torpeur, l'excitation. Il y a l'apprentissage quelles sont de la manière de reconnaître ces obstacles et quels sont les antidotes à ces obstacles, qu'est-ce qu'il faut faire. Et parallèle à cette connaissance, il y a la mise en application de cette connaissance. Comment en fait faire face à la torpeur, comment faire face à l'excitation. Donc la torpeur généralement est liée le plus souvent à son comportement physique, ce que l'on mange, comment l'on dort, etc. Et l'excitation vient généralement du fait de se concentrer ou de se forcer trop. Jim Chaba.
One of the causes of agitation is the rigidity with which we concentrate, or the strength of concentration.
C'est le fait que l'on se concentre avec trop de force. C'est alors qu'il faut savoir. C'est alors qu'il faut savoir en fait relaxer.
We have to learn how to relax and to loosen up the force we put into the concentration.
Se relâcher. Donc ça c'est l'excitation intérieure. Après il y a d'autres excitations qui sont de cause.
That may be the distractions that come from within us. Others may come from the outside. For example, family, business, election problems, etc.
Des problèmes de vos affaires, etc.
Business, election problem.
Les élections.
So, ta di kaula ane ti ma kharsin ja gundusna kechumbu kechungchung so korta ti. Khal chungchung so wara khala shena kola ningbo yo. Kimbo meba de sheba chinate ge chung unimportant.
They all seem very important to us in general, and thus agitate the mind. In order to calm that agitation down, it is important for us to recognize that they're not so incredibly important, and that the impact that they actually have is not as important as what it seems. These different preoccupations are not as meaningful as we tend to think they are.
Vraiment un sens tellement important. Ça n'a pas d'essence. En ce sens, c'est sans importance véritablement.
Rang mi de semji dewa semji shiwa shide dubi warwa. Semji shide dubza sona chi ngobola tungu minwa. Te sonza tanda nga rang mi de semji shide dubegi lam tolon rogu yudu. It's not important. Semji shide dubza sona ane problem there's a ganga problem reyo. Semji shide mandubna ta these problems are problem.
Notre objectif est
what we are trying to develop through our meditation is a certain peace of mind. Once we've attained that peace of mind, or that it has been acquired, nothing that is outside is able to pull us out of that, or is able to destroy it. Nothing that happens, none of the outer circumstances, are able to keep us away from that peace of mind. If you look at it from that angle, you can say that nothing that happens outside of the mind has this great importance, because what is more important is to develop peace of mind. As soon as we are looking for a comfort outside of ourselves, there is always the possibility that that will be destroyed or swept away. But once we have inner peace, there is nothing that can destroy that.
Nous allons nous appuyer sur un confort extérieur, des choses extérieures pour nous amener à un bien-être intérieur. Si on arrive à avoir ce bien-être intérieur, on a besoin de s'appuyer sur aucune extériorité.
The physical posture also influences our meditation. Agitation and dullness can be connected to our physical posture as we meditate.
Physique n'est pas bonne dans la méditation. L'on est mal assis, l'on n'adopte pas correctement la position. Donc c'est alors qu'il faut corriger notre
Thus, this is why it is important at the beginning to learn how to sit, to have the proper physical posture. We need to begin by learning the 7-point posture and perfect this position.
주대바 소소 남자 뇌시 마도바지 용요 이마다 디중사 손은 중화래요 semyobocha rigba meseba chaga dichwa tela rigba ngarte nani bishuja dicha.
Une des causes de torpeur est
Now, if we look at torpor or dullness, it is actually a very subtle level of agitation in the mind. We're not able to settle the mind, but the agitation is really quite subtle or subterranean, one could say. It is in the background. It is there, but we're not actually aware of it, as we would be of blatant agitation. What is the appropriate remedy for this dullness or sleepiness? It is actually to have the discipline to be focused. We need to practice in order to awaken mind's clarity, and we need to focus with great energy. To make the mind more clear and present, we need a panoramic view, as if we are looking at a landscape, and we have a broad vision of what is going on. Sit and meditate with a view in front of you to wake you up.
De forcer la clarté de l'esprit, en quelque sorte. Non, so.
Non, in the Shiji,
Non.
And then the view Yachim with the Samadan. Non, in the Shiji, and under the Basset rules.
Essayer de rendre l'esprit plus clair, plus présent. Donc là,
Panoramic view.
Par exemple, cela peut aider de regarder un paysage panoramique, c'est-à-dire les vues très vastes, très claires, quelque chose qui réveille, en quelque sorte, réveille et rend l'esprit plus clair.
I don't mean you have to attach to panoramic view. You know, like usually people like to have big view and then they build a house on top of the hill with ocean view, and then later you get lonely and bored and then you jump out of the window.
Je vous demande pas de cultiver de l'attachement pour paysages, enfin les vues panoramiques. Certaines personnes ont beaucoup d'attachement pour ce genre de point de vue, donc ils construisent leur maison sur des points de vue élevés, vues par exemple sur l'océan. Après, à un moment donné, ils s'ennuient et à force d'ennui, certains peuvent être amenés à sauter dans le vide.
Okay, so that chik de chir da. Yan chik de zubu chode yabo majung pala tene nyobo chi hung do.
No.
Te ngaran so tereng khasa sangmala yabo shiran do. Te so da I think no problem because you know how to eat very well. So nganzo Tibetan Ani and Lamas don't know how to eat properly, therefore they're sleeping. And we are sleeping, you are all like this, yeah? So Lama Pusi is sleeping, but not you are. Because no vitamin, isn't it? So if you lack of vitamins, then you will fall asleep. If you have everything is good balance, then you will not fall in sleep. So
une autre cause de torpeur ou aussi d'agitation est comment dirais-je, la mauvaise alimentation, c'est-à-dire que l'on s'alimente trop ou pas assez. Donc ici évidemment, je pense que vous savez tous bien vous alimenter. Ce n'est pas toujours le cas, par exemple, des moines et des moniales tibétains. Parfois, il leur manque des vitamines et donc ils ont tendance à s'endormir. Par exemple, Lama Porcela qui peut somnoler. Alors, et vous tous, comme vous avez bien suivi votre régime, vous mangez correctement, vous êtes tous alertes et bien réveillés alors que Lama Porcela est en train de s'endormir.
Totally zero vitamin C, is it? Free vitamin C and B, then you will be.
Peut-être un manque de vitamine. Si vous manquez de vitamine C et B, alors à ce moment-là, peut-être que vous allez avoir beaucoup de torpeur. Non.
Make position the yabu majuna yi show yare. Ni tadan sidwan.
Non.
Tadan tela tene flip phamne anema tuzu yabu majuna te nyobo chagyor sigidu yimbada le yongudu.
Et il est question aussi que
when we talk about the physical posture as very important, what we do with our eyes is capital. They can have a very big influence as to how clear the mind is. The 7-point posture specifically describes what we should be doing with our eyes and their gaze. It's very important to follow that.
So the back spine has to stretch up, straight up, and then stomach keep in. That's quite important.
C'est important d'avoir
stomach keep in, or you will suppress the breath under below the stomach, or maybe kept in the abdomen.
Donc il faut bien garder le dos droit, garder le ventre en rentrée, c'est-à-dire garder l'air dans le bas de l'abdomen.
Eat less.
Manger moins.
best is, of course, after to skip the
dinner.
After 1 p.m. If you are really serious meditator, really true, it really helps a lot.
Si vous êtes vraiment un méditateur,
after 1 p.m.,
voilà.
Not eating is really helping a lot. When we do the summer retreat, mind is much clearer than eating dinner. It makes a lot of difference.
C'est très important, si vous souhaitez sérieusement méditer, de ne pas manger après 13 heures. Il est recommandé, par exemple, lors de la retraite de l'été, que les moines ne mangent pas après le repas de midi. Et d'expérience, vraiment, notre esprit est beaucoup plus clair. Alors, c'est très important si on veut avancer sur la méditation.
Eating Tibetan momo, then you...
Si vous mangez plein de momos le soir avant de vous coucher, je vous assure que vous n'arriverez pas à méditer.
But the one Lama who is in Holland, Tibetan Lama, he said momo is very good to prevent insomnia. I don't know he is eating that momo. I don't agree anyway. So eat less, and if you the big stomach, and then you cannot sit on the street because you have to lean on your stomach, and then you will snore, then no meditation.
Il y a un lama en Hollande qui recommandait la consommation de momos pour combattre l'insomnie. Je ne sais pas si c'est vrai, mais en tout cas, je ne suis pas d'accord. Et si vous souhaitez vraiment progresser dans la méditation, c'est bien de ne pas être trop gros, sinon vous allez vous endormir sur votre ventre.
But Milarepa was very weak because of no food. And then one day he was offered a deer meat by hunter, and his meditation was shoot up, isn't it? This story, because that's also he got the energy. Sometimes you have to depend on some, nutritious food too.
Ça ne veut pas dire qu'il faut nous affamer. Il faut aussi bien se nourrir correctement. Par exemple, Milarepa, il est question dans sa biographie qu'à un moment donné, il avait été, du fait du manque de nourriture, très affaibli. Il avait été très affaibli physiquement. Et que sa méditation était également affectée par cela. Et un jour, un chasseur lui a donné un morceau de viande, et par la consommation de cette viande, ça l'a aidé dans sa méditation. Donc, par exemple...
Okay. That together, chingwan in the past, ma specify yabu chesana, then gong quality ti, and junjone, the kansa shine quality the junjone, then it's jangbayina, you miringwa shine rup yungyore. Ta shine rup sona, and me by tanda ula tene jangwan tenzo gugumarba. Koran semba shiwa ne yungre, sem shiwa ne titol de chokre.
Donc, en quoi qu'il en soit,
in any case, if we are able to meditate and eliminate dullness and agitation in our meditation, eventually the mind will become truly stable, and there will be this calm and quietude of the mind that is the objective. Once we've achieved this stability, we'll no longer need a support for our meditation. A meditation object is something that we might use as a crutch for our meditation until our mind becomes strong enough to do without. Once the mind is pacified, it is pacified. Period. It does not need to base itself on a particular practice in order to sustain this pacification.
Okay, people have a lot of problems with depression, anxiety, worry, problem. These similar problem dunganda butanda karkatu karachung de the past sanya dala lamsang san chuni yetu mare. Kandas yetu sanya. It is sanya le tanda simdu dabakanga kabuchuna. That the past sanya lamsang san ye chocho yo maris. That tela somebody was a shinel habachun yomas. Tende tes dunga sabakibu majuna lamsan sanje chocho zan yo mare ti yor samchene cha gom jap an sanje ro maje tene be simshu cha yongurba tende sanje chocho yo mare la ta sabakibu chayala shinel habzan tabjen chu yo mare.
Alors, nous avons de nombreux problèmes, par exemple, certains de nous.
There can be different problems. Some of us can have problems with depression, or physical or psychological problems. We might think the solution to all of this is to become enlightened. But awakening isn't an immediate thing. If we want to pacify or eradicate these problems, there is no method superior to shine, shamatha, calm abiding. Calm abiding is the meditation, the practice, which helps us find solutions to all sorts of different problems, including psychological ones.
La méditation qui a pour objectif de cultiver la quiétude. Donc, cette méditation-là est ce qui vous permettra de trouver une solution à la dépression et à tous ces différents problèmes dans l'immédiat.
Yeah. 하작 삼바기부 telaya dan jujoya meba zojoya mebe sambagibu yungya. Of course, sambagibu tela changzin shinzin tizu chigiyo marasya tig labjada rangshu yungrba. Because you will not be stuck on shine only, you have to go progress. Tisonza tigan shembadan chakwadan zimbatin chigiyo mare tenzo cheba yina tene nangi inwas chene Zukamdan, Zumi, Kamda Chidari, Kiwa Linger said, shit, okay, forget. Tenzo the Reda Re. In a cool la shooter, Wangaran, Chitin, Lam Ton, Dup, Manzu Tanda Nangi, the worship Nimbu, Yeshit, Ya Kam Majive, Kun, te kat shit to Vala Shidukala Kaur, Tim Majive, Kun, and Rup to Bati, Shinere. Tishindo, Nundu Yan Rogo, but in Shinere, Shine Mana, Tangi Kondi Sheva Nashin, Hanton, get to your mare. The Sonza, Shine, like Hashit is.
Alors, la méditation de
calm abiding meditation is extremely important because it is thanks to this practice that we can experience things like joy and well-being that have no limits. It is also imperative not to develop any attachment to an ideal well-being or state of joy. Otherwise, there is a danger of developing the possibility of a rebirth in the divine realms of existence, and that is just another state of samsara. Mind has to train to have this stillness or quietude. Then in the meantime, this is what we need to cultivate, because if we've never tasted this quietude, it will be impossible for us to develop wisdom, discernment, and we won't be able to awaken mind's true quality of timeless wisdom, which is connected to our Buddha nature. We'll never be able to do practices that lead to awakening, such as vipassana or insight meditation, unless we attain stability in this first step, which is calm abiding, shamatha.
L'on ne pourra pas développer le discernement, l'on ne pourra pas actualiser la sagesse, les qualités naturelles de l'esprit, la sagesse principielle liée à la nature du Bouddha. Tout cela ne pourront pas être actualisés. L'on ne pourra pas faire la pratique de vipassana. Donc, cette pratique-là, dont le résultat est l'éveil, nécessite au préalable que l'on ait parfait ou que l'on ait réalisé la pratique de la quiétude, c'est-à-dire shamatha.
Exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, tende chene tsa tongcha chi drang tuba chuna yabu shuklegi yosare. Tati le laba cha sa suna dene shine ki di sambaki bu cha kanga hajang tembo yabu cha yosare.
Donc si vous arrivez à rester concentré,
if we're counting breath cycles and able to stay focused for 1,000 breathing cycles, that is, breathe out, breathe in, 1, breathe out, breathe in, 2, etc., up to 1,000. When it becomes easy for you and difficulties have subsided, distractions do not pull you away, then that is true stability. You will have the experience of the real benefits of the meditation. But it is very important that each one of these breathing cycles has certain qualities. These are the qualities of being quiet, attentive, and vigilant.
Ce cycle, ce 1000 cycles soit chacun doté des qualités dont on a parlé. Donc, qualité d'esprit avec clarté, doté de vigilance et de souvenance, etc.
다 동자직 장투가 차나 동자니 숨 된지 장슈차 체험 되가 지용. 다 동자 숨자 장투가 중사소나 아니 you will not like to give it up. You will like to continue it. 그래서 님의 인간 티셔지 전에 칼라사야 윤주 제로요. 간선 선배 기타 준데 sem 시원내로 요로 다 시원내로 된테 대한테네 동화 잠지 많이 봐 되게 도네 나는 배 칼라사야 제기 버스도.
Donc si vous avez
drama new.
Là ça.
근데 c'est 나다 칼라사야 제 마송 sorry.
Donc, je dis, il est dit que
if you get up to 1,000 focused breathing cycles easily, then you can go up to 2,000 or 3,000 easily. Once you get to 3,000, it's going to feel so good and it will be so peaceful that we might be tempted to just sit in it for as long as we possibly can. Because there's no agitation, there's no dullness, there's just complete stability of the mind. There's also a sense of well-being that goes along with that. We might forget to eat or drink because it feels just so good to sit there and meditate. Rinpoche says, me myself, I've never forgotten to have a meal.
Le bien-être est immense et grand. Je dis, moi, je n'ai pas fait cette expérience, mais j'ai jamais oublié de manger.
ebe 이거 장게도 그거 동바 현현차 냐만 매바 차페 비치아풀 차 로지 차 치기어스도.
Il est dit également qu'il y a des
It's also said that you have real physical signs of well-being. Your wrinkles might disappear. You start looking very young and rosy-cheeked, joyful. They're actually the physical benefits of such a meditation when you're that good a meditator.
Who has rosy cheeks?
On peut maintenant tester qui a des joues roses et frais.
Anyway, yeah. Le
shiné est dans ce sens extrêmement important.
So in this sense, shiné or shamatha is very important.
람 림바진도 야안로네 사탕부 토야라서 뜻у 강가라다 공의지 되는로.
Donc les 4 placements de l'attention.
Coming back to the 4 applications of mindfulness, these are really the basis of the practice, the trunk of the practice of both the arhats and the bodhisattvas, whether you are practicing the paramitayana or the shravakayana.
Donc cette pratique doit être faite sur la base d'avoir acquis une stabilité de l'esprit par shamatha.
In order to do this practice of the 4 applications of mindfulness, there has to be a stable basis in calm abiding, shamatha. Once we've acquired the quietude through shine, we can continue on to examine the reality of the body, the sensations, etc.
Donc ici pour
There are 2 aspects to this. The first one is to eliminate our attachment to the body. So we look at the body as being quite unattractive, and by concentrating on the unattractiveness of the body, it's easy for us to eliminate our grasping of the body as something that has an inherent independent existence, because we'll be looking at each of the characteristics of the body and realizing that each of these characteristics is essentially nothing more or less than emptiness.
un ensemble existant par lui-même, ayant substance, l'on va examiner les caractéristiques du corps et voir la vacuité du corps.
Artificial artificial te metupa combattere. Demba gombate tanda junju junang sunga na shin rang lui da yin lui an nang gi mezangwa de ganga rimba yin samda yan dire. Tingone de ba. Mezangwa yorba cha chusel ane miro ru mangbo ko yor za tangbo chine papa an ti na ne sha cha za the biologic chasang samda shan de ma.
The artificial dirham.
Artificial te it's just artificial. This is a quite powerful method, but it's not the real.
Alors, concernant
about the first reality of the body, about looking at how unattractive the body is, there are two different meditations that can be practiced. One is a sort of an artificial meditation, where we visualize a human body. We visualize that in our forehead there is a wound or pustule that begins to rot, and then from there the whole body falls apart, right through to the bones. Then, another possibility is that instead of visualizing our body, we just think about our own body, thinking about how the body is nothing more than skin covering different organs and masses of flesh and bones, and all of the different liquids in the body. There's blood and pus and snot, etc.
Donc il s'agit par exemple de l'observation recommandée dans
In the Bodhicharya Avatara, Shantideva talks about this quite clearly in the 8th chapter, which is about dissecting the body, mentally of course. Using the scalpel of wisdom, we dissect the body down to the bones, and we see the reality of the body. That is actual observation.
Donc scalpel de la sagesse, et avec cela disséquer toutes les parties du corps jusqu'aux os et voyez la réalité du corps qui n'est fait que de viscères, etc. Donc ça, c'est l'observation actuelle.
Papa.
Non.
Skin and flesh, bone, nerves, blood, and mirrors. So if you separate about your body, then you will understand there's not one physical form as that you usually cling on as something like great, yeah? It is not. Everything is separate. There's nothing. Yeah, disintegrate first. Mm-hmm. If you force your mind to go into the detailed thinking about the structure of your body, disintegrate. Like yeah? Skin lying on the floor as a carpet, and your head skeleton as a jewel there, and organs are located here and there, isn't it? But here you don't use anything for offering like that, but you think like your skin, nerves, bone structures, and everything. There's nothing you will find as your body that you're clinging on it. Yeah? That's the reality.
Donc ici, il s'agit d'observer la réalité du corps, c'est-à-dire on va prendre toutes les parties, la peau, les os, la chair, la moelle, le sang, le lymphe, le pus, etc. Et revoir est-ce que, en fait, le corps a une substance, est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose qui existe de par lui-même, qui a un être en soi. On verra qu'indépendamment de toutes ces parties, il n'y a rien. Donc c'est une visualisation qui peut s'apparenter, par exemple, pas une visualisation, c'est une observation qui peut s'apparenter à la visualisation que l'on trouve, par exemple, dans la pratique de Dieu, où l'on visualise sa peau, comme une sorte de tapis sur lequel est posée sa tête comme un joyau, différents organes, et ça et là, et où il est question d'offrande, etc. Mais ici, il ne s'agit pas de cela, ici, juste observer les différentes parties du corps, voir que le corps est sans substance ultime, qu'il n'a pas que notre conception du corps comme étant substantiel, une chose existante, ne correspond pas à sa réalité, qu'en fait, qu'il n'est que composé de parties, chacun composés eux-mêmes de d'autres parties, toutes impures.
If you separate all, let's say skin, first in the head, yeah, skin separate, and bones separate, then what left? Bones and skin separate, then what left? Huh? No, what is remaining? Flesh, and then separate. Flesh is flesh, bone is bone, skin is skin. Okay, now what? The neurons, isn't it? Nerves. Only nerves. Can nerves think or not? Without skin, without support of skin, flesh, bone, can nerve independently functioning as you or not? Cannot. So scientists failed now, isn't it? Scientists failed. Neuroscientists failed now. Without support of the bone and skin, flesh, neuro alone cannot be as a human. Maybe neither as a dog nor as a human. Am I right? What do you think? Yeah. What do you think, Ramaji?
No.
Only nerves.
No.
Bone usually have no mind. Bone does not think. Flesh does not have mind. So flesh is in the section of flesh. Skin does not think, yeah? Separate. Now only nerves. How can it be exist as a nerve without support of others? What do you think? Can or not? Please look for the reality of as a human with only nerve system without support of bone and flesh, skin, anything. Yeah, as I request you all to find a reality as a human from the nerve system alone without support of others. This is my request to all of you today. And while you are having lunch, you please think about it and give me the feedback. Okay? Thank you. So,
alors, concernant le corps, donc si l'on enlève la peau, la chair, les os, on peut, par exemple, dans la recherche, je résume, dans la recherche de notre propre corps, de nous-mêmes, notre être, qu'est-ce que c'est? On va dire, c'est pas notre peau, c'est pas notre chair, c'est pas nos os. Maintenant, selon la science, eh bien, notre conscience s'appuie sur notre système nerveux. Donc on peut penser, c'est notre système nerveux, le cerveau et tous les nerfs. Est-ce que c'est cela alors? Est-ce que cela peut exister indépendamment des os, de la chair, de tout le reste? Et quelle partie de ce système nerveux est notre soi qui existe? Donc, nous vous invitons ainsi à inspecter, à faire une sorte d'inspection sur vous-même, sur votre propre corps, à la recherche de la réalité de votre propre corps cet après-midi, avant la prochaine session, lors de votre déjeuner, par exemple.
Ok, merci.
Merci à vous.
You please proceed for your lunch, okay? We will go down there to walk something.
Donc, je vous invite à sortir, à prendre votre déjeuner. Merci à vous.
Thank you.